Hey y'all. Hey Carly, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was good. How was yours?
It was good. Watched maybe like a game and a half of football. No, two halves of football to make the total of one game. So
That's
watched,
it?
yeah. So we were watching it at my aunt and uncle's house
Mhm.
for the Cowboys Chiefs game and then the Texas A&M game. And like at halftime each time my parents were like, "Okay, it's time to go home to go let the dog out." And then we'd go home and then kind of forget, and we watched the docuseries Grant about President Ulysses Grant.
Mhm.
I think, Leonardo DiCaprio is a producer. It's actually really good, but yeah, that was just, like, the funny pivot of our household.
That is so funny. I think that's all we did is watch football. We went to eat on Thursday, we had a lunch, and then we went back to my grandma's house and watched football, and then all day on Friday, I had to work, but we were over at my in-laws' house, and that's all we did on Friday, and then, of course, all we did on Saturday was watch football.
Yeah, you're gonna have all the updates, but I did think it was funny. So my aunt and uncle, they both went to University of Texas, so they're big Texas football fans.
Mhm.
And their daughters, though, they went to an all-girls high school, so I think they never really, and they
They
went
didn't
to
get it.
yeah, and then they went to 2, small private universities, so they never went on the, college football journey.
Mhm.
And so it was funny hearing the questions that they had because it really comes back to, this podcast, and it's like, even though they didn't know what was going on, I think one of them asked, "Wait, these are kids?" And my aunt and I were like, "Yeah, they're literally, 18 years old." And they're like,
Yeah.
"What?" But they're still, want to, be a part of the group and watch it with
Mhm.
everyone else, you know? So
Yeah.
I was trying to log the different questions that they had.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm so curious to see what their questions are because I just know they're probably going to be a lot of the same that I had whenever I first started watching football. I didn't go to an all girls high school, but I did go to a small private college that didn't have a football team. And so I too am like them that I never got immersed in the culture until right now. So I'm curious to see what they had to say. That's so funny.
Yeah, one of them off the top of my head was if you're allowed to pull on someone's jersey to stop them. And I was like, "Actually, that is a great question
That is
because
a great question.
sometimes you're like, that seems like they shouldn't be that shouldn't be the proper way to take someone down." That's also not the right word. But yeah, you can absolutely pull on someone's.
Yeah. Yeah, like where they draw the line is the helmet, that's it, but
Yep.
everything else, they're like, "Go for it."
Exactly, exactly, and I feel like too, that's why you wanna make sure your jersey's not, tucked out or,
Mhm.
too big because that just makes it so much easier to grab onto the jersey, right?
Honestly never thought about that, but yeah, that's such a good point. Like, I just thought those were the uniforms just 'cause, but I know someone else had probably thought of that, and I
Right,
didn't. So, I'm glad someone else is designing those uniforms and it's not me.
right. So, who did you think was gonna win the Texas A&M game? Were you surprised?
I was honestly very surprised. I thought A&M was definitely gonna win it.
I thought
But
so too.
on the other hand, I mean, Texas had nothing to lose, and we all knew that if Texas won, they were just gonna be pounding their fists saying, "Let us in the playoffs," and that's exactly what happened, and so I'm honestly shocked that A&M let that happen.
Yeah. Do you think it comes down to it having been a lot of it being a home game? You know
Yeah,
how sometimes that changes the energy?
yeah, I definitely do. I definitely think it helps that they had nothing to lose, and they were just like, they played like it, and A&M had a lot to lose. They're now not going to the SEC championship, and so they played an away game, they were on the road. I think honestly, everything was in Texas's favor besides their record and besides the actual playing of the game, but, like, the culture, the energy, the stakes, it was all in Texas's favor, and that's kinda what happened. I'm surprised that they won.
Yeah. Were there any other games that surprised you?
Not really, thankfully. In our household, the biggest game we were concerned about was the Ohio State-Michigan game, and Ohio State won, and so we're very happy about that. I am very happy for the Buckeyes and my husband. It was a crazy game, though.
It was in the snow, right?
It was in the snow, it was in Michigan. There were just weird things that happened throughout the game, and I'm obviously totally biased. Some Michigan fan is gonna listen to this and just turn it off right now, which is totally fine. But there were
I
things. Yeah, see ya. But, like, there were multiple times throughout the game where Ohio State, their coach's headset stopped working.
Oh,
They just, like, lost all communication.
wait, were they were playing at Michigan?
Mhm.
Is that sus?
Very, very, because they're just like, Michigan is just a bunch of cheaters,
Yeah.
and they've
I
been
mean, they've
proven
been
that.
caught. They've been caught.
Yeah, they've been caught, like, they've proven that over and over again, and so there was actually a press conference I was watching this morning with the Ohio State coach, Ryan Day, and he was like, "Yeah, I just kinda had an inkling that that might happen, so we had a plan for it." And the
No
press was
way.
like, "You had an inkling that your headsets might go out?" And Ryan Day was just kinda like, "Yeah,
What?
I always like to plan for everything, and that's just one of the things that you plan for is, like, you just, think about all the contingencies and everything that can happen," and then he kind of, like, smirked and winked at the crowd and was just like, "Yeah, I just kinda had an inkling, you know?"
That's so funny. My grandparents both went to Michigan. They're rolling in their grave right now.
You know, they had a good 4 years,
They did.
okay? You
They
gotta
did.
give it to 'em.
They did. That is funny.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a ton of stuff too. I'm sure Alabama, Auburn fans can relate, and then UT, A&M fans of just the emotion that goes into all of these rivalry games. Now, this weekend, besides Texas A&M, Ohio State went out. They're higher ranked. Everyone thought they would win. Alabama played Auburn. Everyone thought Alabama would win. They're higher ranked and they won. Now, Auburn did give them a run for their money, but Alabama pulled through. So good for Alabama.
I sent my friend who went to Auburn this Instagram that I saw where Nick Saban said that he thinks the Auburn locker room is haunted. And she responded, she said, sounds like loser behavior. Rivalries are
That is
so
so
funny.
funny. Yeah, that's so funny. I don't know if you saw too. Rivalries are just they're hilarious to me because besides the Ohio State Michigan one, they like have no effect on my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But there's just so like such funny stuff and weird stuff that happens at every game. I mean, years ago, the Alabama Auburn game is when I don't remember who won. I don't remember who was kicking or whatever, but they kicked it off the goalpost and then
Yeah.
they ran down for a touchdown and the other team won.
Yeah.
Like, weird stuff just happens in these games, and it's so funny to me.
Do you think the weird stuff happens because the tension is so high? So there's more like wonky, saying wonky energy is the wrong word, but, and I don't even want to say prone to more mistakes because a lot of times it is just like something weird, a fluke. It's not that someone made a mistake, but is it just because there's just so much
I
tension?
think it's just yeah, there's so much emotion behind it.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, which is so crazy to me, last year, and this is the only frame of reference I have, but last year when Ohio State lost to Michigan, I mean, the head coach had to put security guards outside his house because people were threatening his life, like his
This
family.
doesn't make sense to me. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
What are
but
we
I'm
doing
like,
as a
seriously?
society?
Seriously, and that just goes to show how much goes into these games, and then to your point, like you just said, they're 18 years old.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you would never walk up to an 18-year-old on the street and be like, "If you don't succeed at your job, like, I will come for your family."
No,
Like, if
exactly.
no one would do that to an accountant.
No, no. Or even like well, I guess now saying a CEO of a company, I guess now
Well,
no, what?
yeah,
Not
oh,
anymore. But if this
just
was
kidding.
6 years ago,
Yeah, yeah,
you
such a good
wouldn't
point.
do the same thing to a CEO of a company who is arguably making the same amount of money. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's wild what people feel entitled to other people's behavior.
Yeah. Well, it's just crazy how entitled is a great word that they just take it upon themselves to act like that, to speak to people like that.
When a lot of times they never even attended that school. Don't get me
Okay,
started on that fan base.
yes. I don't know if this is true or not. But I did see a funny tweet. I think one of my husband's friends reposted it on his Instagram or something after the UT A&M game, and it was just like half of the people that were cheering for UT didn't even attend the school, which I don't know that to be the case, but I know a lot of times in Texas, you either root for UT or A&M even if you didn't go there. And so it is just funny to see. I'm sure I mean, people could say that about me with Ohio State
But
because
you
I
have a
didn't go
tie, you
there.
have a tie. I
But
think there's a
yeah.
difference between having a tie and just be I don't know. I just maybe I'm bitter from the TCU Georgia national championship game because everyone around me was Georgia fans who I'm I d you there are just some people who there's no way they have a college degree.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh, I'm cracking up because it is so true. It always feels like the people that have the least amount of ties to it are invested the
And
most
they
in
were
it.
the ones that
Well,
were the worst to be around. It was
yes.
like everyone else is being respectful. Like they've been a student. They know what it's like to go to these games. Like there's but the ones with like such poor behavior.
Yeah. They're just like, I picked this team because I want to root for this team. And they're the ones, maybe they're not the most invested in it. That's probably not the right thing to say, but they are the ones that are most expressive
Yes.
about it.
And one time when I went to the KU TCU game at KU, there were these 2 dudes sitting behind me, and they were talking about how they became KU fans, and they were like, "Yeah, we became KU fans because we wanted to, like, choose the team that, like, founded basketball," whatever. Made it very clear that they didn't go to KU,
Hmm.
and they spent the whole time talking crap about how ugly the TCU coach was because he was bald. And I was just
Okay.
like, "Oh,
It's not even about
balding."
the
He's not even,
team.
like, bald, but, like, he's just, like, an older man, and it was just like, "What are we doing?"
What are we doing? And to me, that's like such low brow. I'm
Yeah,
like, you can say all day long, like, oh, you're ugly. Like, okay. Like that's such a bad insult to me. Stuff like that is so silly to me. I'm like, okay, he's balding.
great.
So,
He's still arguably more attractive than you, and he's 40 years older, so
yeah. When I'm like, he's making bank as a head coach. So who cares if he's balding? Like, I guarantee you he doesn't.
Exactly, exactly, and I was like, if that's the only critique that you can come up with because at that time in the game, TCU was up, which
Hmm.
is wild against KU, and that I mean if that's all you can come up with, maybe maybe we don't need to say anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm like, we'll just sit and watch and be on our merry way, whether they win or they lose. I mean, the Ohio State head coach was like, because after the game, Michigan ran out to their M because a few years ago, Michigan won and planted a flag in Ohio State's field. And so they were like, oh, they're going to do that to us. They tried to do it again last year. And that's when like a huge fight broke out. And they just immediately after the game, like ran and stood on their end. And the Ohio State coach was just like, go back to the locker room. We're not doing this. Like, we're not playing these games. We won. Go to the locker room. We'll celebrate in Ohio. And it's just so funny to see the difference of the 2 teams. Like, I remember the first year I watched that game, they won against Ohio, and they literally, like, hoisted the quarterback on their shoulders, and he, like, had on a sash and a tiara and was just, like, going around the
Stop.
stadium. Yeah, yeah, but when Ohio State won, they just, like I mean, some of them tried. They definitely
Yeah,
tried, but
yeah,
the coach was like, "Go back to the locker room. We're going home. Like, we won. That's all we need to do. We, like, took care of business. We're going home. Like, we'll celebrate in Ohio." And so it is just funny to see, like, the difference of the 2 teams and, like, the fans that come with it and all
yeah,
of that good stuff.
yeah. It all becomes a package deal. And speaking of fans getting way upset, so we were talking about the future of Lane Kiffin, if he was gonna go to LSU or not from Ole Miss. He had to make the decision by Thanksgiving, and the
Mhm,
big thing was if he committed to LSU, that meant the team that he has right now, which has been a very good team with playoff potential, he wouldn't be able to coach them anymore
mhm.
into the playoffs. So, that was kind of like this ultimatum situation, and he decided to go to LSU, and people are not happy.
People are not happy. I've seen a ton of videos of him getting on the plane to go fly to LSU, I guess, and I mean, kids are just standing out by the gates, just flipping him off, yelling. I saw one video of his clothes being torn up, and I was like, "That can't be right. How did you get this man's clothes?"
Well, I'll tell you, did you see that all these students are now posting all their, like, Snapchat receipts and Instagram DMs with him of, like, him getting with students, and they're now, like, spilling all the tea. I don't know how much is real and how much of it is just, like, people making things up to, like, rile things up, but yeah, like, people
No.
are at least mad enough to start spilling tea if they have it.
Is crazy. Well, that's kinda what happened with Brian Kelly. I don't know necessarily what the actual parameters were, but after LSU fired Brian Kelly, there were so many things that started to come out, and it seemed like they were just trying to find a way to say that Brian Kelly was, like, fired.
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah,
firing
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
justified.
I
That
forgot
is
about that. They were doing it in an
crazy.
investigation, weren't they?
Mm. I don't ever know what happened with that. I guess
Yeah.
nothing because I didn't hear anything else about it, but same kinda thing happened with him.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. No, it's so wild. I also saw that even coaches weren't happy about it because they thought that it sets the wrong tone and that it kind of shows where the process needs to change because
Mhm.
they see it as him abandoning all of his players. And they're like, but that's also it's not totally his fault because the system allows for LSU to give an ultimatum like this. And what I saw was that what would be ideal is that and then, like, how that affects the portal and all these things. And
Mhm.
so, ideally, they're like, these coaching changes and decisions should be in line with the academic calendar
Yeah.
instead of in the middle of the academic calendar. Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, I do too, and I never knew much about it, obviously, that's the point of this podcast, like, I did not know what I was talking about, but I was watching Game Day, I think it was probably this past weekend or the weekend before where Nick Saban was talking about it, and he was like, "It's not Lane Kiffin's fault necessarily." I mean, he could have chosen to stay at Ole Miss, and I think Pat McAfee also just kept reiterating, like, "Lane, it's okay if you stay, like, you can be content where you are." But Nick Saban went on to say, like, it's not Lane's fault, it's the system's fault. It's how they structure all of it. It's how the portal works now that there is a portal and students only have to be 1 year commits instead of all 4 years. Or if they, move, they lose a year of eligibility and all of that good stuff. And I'm like, if it comes down to like that many details that you have to decide where you're going next before your team is even done playing, that to me indicates that the system is wrong. Like there is something wrong with that. Like that is crazy.
Who makes the rules? The NC well, obviously the NCAA, but, like, is this something that gets like, are people fielding these concerns to the NCAA, or is it up to the NCAA to happen to see these clips and then see if enough people are riled up, I guess?
That's a good question. I'm like, is it just like, is there a board just for college football that decides all of
Right.
these things? I know obviously the NCAA is huge. Does each kind of sport have their own segment and their own kind of control group that they're like, oh, yeah, we've realized that something is wrong, you know? Because I mean, people pounded their fists about the 4 team playoff system for years.
Right.
And then they finally changed it. But I don't know how long that took. I don't know who they had to talk to. Was it just the people, the teams, the coaches, the fans getting so upset about it? Or were they just like, "Oh, yeah, now we've actually decided we wanna change it?"
Yeah. And what's frustrating at the end of the day is it's always gonna come down to money.
Mhm.
And it drives me nuts because it's the same thing that drives me nuts about how, like, teams are allowed to be in the same conference that are 3 time zones apart
Yeah,
and have to get on a plane to every single game.
yeah.
Like, West Virginia having to go to the Midwest for every game except
Yeah,
for is insane to me.
yeah,
And it's not fair to the students, and I know, again, everyone's like, "But they make so much money," but it's not about we're so obsessed with life being fine if you just make enough money. How many of those players on a, what, 50-person team are actually making the $1,000,000 that we're
yeah,
acting like they're making? Only 2 players on the team are making that. The rest are grateful to have a scholarship, if
yeah.
they have a scholarship.
If they have a scholarship. And 2, I just think about the fact that they are, like, between the ages of 18 and 21 probably. At
Yeah.
that point, they probably finished in 3 years or going to the NFL at 20 or 21. And I just think about and this is totally a girl thing, so, like, I know, I understand that. But I'm like, those poor kids that signed up to play for Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin
Yeah.
recruited them, Ole Miss recruited them. They were like, "I wanna play for this man," and now they don't even I mean, true freshmen or redshirt freshmen don't even get to finish out this season with Lane because of this decision that, yes, he made. However, he's not the first person to leave a head coaching job and go to a different one. This is just unfortunate because of the way they have it structured.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the one-year commit? Because I don't love that either. I
I
think
don't
you should commit to 2 years.
I think 2 years is good, or, like, if I don't know how it used to be structured, and I'm not super familiar with it because that's when I first started, like, getting into the whole sports thing, but if they transferred, they would lose a whole year of eligibility.
And then that's redshirting, right? After like, once they're on the new team, they're redshirting because they can't play, but they're technically on the team.
I don't know. The
Okay, I
only
don't
thing I know
either.
about the only thing I know about red shirts is the freshmen,
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay.
but I don't know if there's other red shirts that you can get for transferring. That's totally possible. I just have no
No,
idea.
I could be so wrong.
Again, we're learning too, you guys. But yeah, I think you should at least have to stay there a couple years
I mean, in a
because
perfect world, me being me, I'm like 4 years,
yeah.
but I
Yeah,
I get that things happen and change, but I just don't think that an 18-year-old has enough time to develop in a program and stick through that program for a year. Like,
yeah.
think how complicated freshman year in college is not being in sports. I remember my first 3 months, so I went to this is before I transferred to TCU. I went to Loyola Marymount in LA, didn't know a single person, ended up running into someone I went to elementary school with, which was a whole different story and really funny.
That's so random.
We were in our business law class and we had to like say where everyone was from. And I said Kansas and she said Kansas. And the teacher was like, "Oh, so y'all must know each other," making it a joke that like Kansas is so small. And we were like, "Oh, we actually did go to elementary school together."
You're like, "Actually, yeah, we did."
But moving to a school in a state that you've never lived in before, like Los Angeles, I had in Kansas grew up in Kansas City, like, it is a city, but where I happened to live, there was no highway driving that I needed to do, so I never drove on the highway. All of a sudden, in LA, that's all you're doing, like, completely different world,
Yeah.
and didn't know a single person, watching all my friends go to KU and, like, SMU and TCU and Mizzou rush together, do all these things together, like, have such a simple transition.
Mhm.
Me being like, "What in the world?" If I hadn't cheered there, I would have transferred in 5 seconds,
Yeah.
but I do think that, like, once I pushed through maybe 6 months of a lot of uncomfy, I met my best friends,
Yeah.
you know? But if you have such an out right away, you don't have that development period, and then now you're starting over somewhere else and having the same shakiness at the beginning, and now you have an out again. I think that,
Yeah.
like, in such an important developmental phase of your life, having all this outside pressure being like, "Just go to this school because now you're gonna have your time to shine." I don't know.
I think
It's a case by case basis, I know, but
It is
in
case by
general.
case, yeah, but there's also a lot to be said of the people that do stay. Like, I remember last year, there was a bunch of Ohio State players that could have gone to like, they could have just done their 3 years of eligibility and then gone to the NFL, but they all, like, came together and they wanted to stay and they wanted to do one last year together, and I think there's a lot to be said for that because they did end up winning the national championship, which is great. But there were so many seniors on that team. And I think that helped so much because they had stuck with each
Yeah.
other through the years and like built that relationship. They all wanted to come back for each other. It wasn't selfish. They weren't just like, well, I'm going to the NFL, see ya. It was like they wanted to do it for each other. And I think there's so much to be said for that about the camaraderie you build when you're not just like jumping ship every chance you get.
Yeah.
Now, there are other like you said, case by case basis where it's like, well, I am a quarterback and there's only one quarterback on the team and I'm not going to play here until my senior year. So I could go somewhere else and start playing now and then transfer to a larger school once I get better and once I have the opportunity. So there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, that's what happened with Julian Sayin. He was on the scout team at Alabama and then he got this opportunity and now he's doing amazing at Ohio State and he has a great future. But it is just interesting to see that whole dynamic, and now that they're allowed to jump ship so quickly, and that in conjunction with the whole coaching situation and the portal and recruiting and all of that, like, it all just seems like a big cluster to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of inconsistency in people's lives when they need inconsistency, and a lot of these players had very inconsistent childhoods in their personal life, and I know again, I know it's just a business. In my head, I'm still living 20 years ago when college was also academics, but I don't know. I could go on this rant for forever, but we have not talked about college football yet. Or not college football, NFL.
You're so right. We could talk about this for forever. And honestly, with how crazy college football was this weekend, the only couple of games I saw was the Detroit Lions losing, the Cowboys winning,
Yep,
shockingly enough.
yep.
And I think the Cowboys play the Lions next. Cowboys are on a 3-game winning streak, and they just beat the Eagles and
The
the
Chiefs.
Chiefs, which
Wild.
was crazy. It was so funny. My grandma loves the Chiefs. She loves Patrick Mahomes, and so we were all watching it on her house at Thanksgiving, and she was just like, "Well, I wanted that one to win." And we were just like, "Sorry, Mima."
He's won enough.
Yeah. Yeah, we were like, "He had a good couple of years."
Exactly,
And my
exactly.
dad's over there like, "Mom, are you kidding me? Like, we've been in Dallas our whole lives. What the heck?"
What did you think of the Post Malone halftime show?
I loved it.
I thought it was good too.
I thought it was so good. I just love Post Malone, though. I'm like, you can just tell the way he performs, he's just having a good time.
Oh, 100%, 100%. He's just vibing. One of my cousins, though, she didn't know who he was. I make it sound like my cousins live under a rock. They're just like they're artists and kind of live in
They're the
their
creative
own
route. Yeah.
they live in Austin, artist
Yeah.
world there. But they were like, "What kind of music is he? Is he country?" And I was like, "Well, no,
That's a fair question.
he had a country album that came out, and he's obviously, like, performing in his hometown, Texas, right now, but,
Mhm.
like, he's not a country artist." And then I was like, "But now I don't know how to explain this any further from there."
That's all I got for you.
I don't know,
That's
what
so
would you
funny.
say?
I don't know.
He's
It's
just
multi-genre. Like,
he can do every genre.
yeah, he's done, like, R&B, he's done rap, obviously, he's done country, he was on Taylor Swift's last
Yeah.
album, like
I
now I
was
did
just
see
like,
that.
he's not country, but he has a country album, that's all
Yeah.
all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, Beyoncé did the same
Yeah,
thing.
and that's what they said. They were like, "Oh, like Beyoncé." I was like, "Yes,
Exactly.
like Beyoncé."
Exactly. Yeah. I did see that everyone was thinking that Taylor Swift was gonna come out at the Chiefs-Cowboys game, and I was like, I don't know if she would have, but it's fun to think about.
Oh my gosh, like one day, just like one day.
Yeah, and I was like, she does have a song with Post Malone and Trappy Boy's there.
I know.
But I also heard that I don't keep up with it that much, but I was listening to, pop culture podcasts and stuff. And they said that she only goes to games at Arrowhead.
'Cause, it's all set up for her.
Yeah. And
That
I was
makes
like,
sense.
well, that makes sense.
I thought Cowboys, there could be a chance just because Cowboy Stadium is set up in a
Hmm.
very
Event type way.
yeah, but, yeah, I get it for the other games. I also think I saw her say something where she's very okay with football season being just about Travis, and, like, it being her time to just be, like, just
I'm
sitting
just here as a
back.
fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you do have
That
to
makes
think
sense.
that, like, there will be that one time. Maybe, like,
Yeah.
when he retires,
Yeah. That's true.
and it's, like, the last opportunity to make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's true. I don't know.
Okay, so this coming weekend, bowl games start. Does but or is it the playoffs start? What's the difference between a bowl game and a playoff?
Okay, so I had to ask my husband about this because I was like, "Are bowl games starting this weekend?" I thought they were. I thought that would be the next step, but this weekend, all the championship games for the
Oh, it's the
conferences.
championship games. Okay.
Yes,
And do
yeah.
they sometimes get called the something bowl? Is that why it gets confusing? Or we're just two confused girlies?
Okay, I can admit I am just confused because there are bowl games, like the Alabama Auburn game is the Iron Bowl.
Right.
Ole Miss, Mississippi is the Egg Bowl, but there are also like you can play at the Rose Bowl, but that's not technically a bowl game,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true because
or
yes,
like the Cotton
Oklahoma,
Bowl.
Oklahoma, Texas is not a bowl game.
Right.
It's at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. So I think these are just conference championships unless I mean there wouldn't be a bowl game anyway,
Stadiums
but
used to call bowls.
I literally have no idea why is everyone throwing this specific word around? Like why is everything a bowl? Like, I do not understand. That is so confusing to me. And this just, again, I feel like I say it every week. The more I learn about this sport, the more I'm confused. Like, I do not get it.
Okay, so we have the conference championship games this week. And
Yeah,
for all conferences?
I think so. I think at least all the big ones. Now, the smaller ones, those might be bowl games because, well, here's also what I learned.
Oh,
Get a
okay.
load of this. We have conference championships, and then there's a whole week just for the Army Navy game.
Oh, okay.
And then after that is when the bowl games start.
Got it.
But I don't know how that falls into the playoff calendar as well. Cause I asked and I was like, wait, there's just a week for Army Navy. And it was like, yeah, duh. I was like, okay. I mean, like, I support,
Great. Yep. We're yep. We're
I'll
fine.
watch. Yeah. Like, I'll be sat for sure. Like, thank you so much.
Yes, exactly.
All my attention will be on you. I just didn't realize. Yeah. So then the fun bowl games start. And again, I don't know if you're in the playoffs, are you also playing a bowl game or is that just for people that didn't make the playoffs? Like the Pop Tart Bowl. I love the Pop Tart Bowl, but I don't know if anyone that made the playoffs gets to play in the Pop Tart Bowl.
This is such a good question because I was going to pretend like I had an answer. Because my pretend answer is yes, because it's just, it's like the schedule. And so,
Right.
like, if this team is playing this team at the stadium that has the contract with Cheez Its,
Right.
they're now playing at the Cheez It Bowl.
I guess so. It's so
But
strange.
but you're
Monica,
right,
I
but
do
you're
not
right.
understand
But
it.
also, there's tiers of bowls. Like, because isn't so maybe that logic doesn't make sense because aren't there like bowl games where they're like that this doesn't make this doesn't exist, but like the tortilla bowl and everyone's like you were the worst two teams that could make a bowl game if you're in the tortilla bowl. I don't
Right.
know. I think there's tiers. Like Rose Bowl, if you go to the Rose Bowl, that's usually two really good teams
Yeah.
playing. And those two teams in my head would be playoff teams.
Well, like, yeah, like the Cotton Bowl, it was technically the semifinals. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like a bowl game, but they played at the Cotton Bowl. Like, that's what I don't understand.
Dear.
Does it count as a bowl game if you're just playing at
No.
a stadium?
No.
You see, like, I could literally spin in circles all day long about this. Like, I do not understand it.
Okay, well, we all have our homework cut out for us for
Yeah.
next week. And on that note, is there anything else going into this weekend that we need to know?
I think
I
that's
think we just need to learn about bowl games.
yeah, I think
Or
we just need to
yeah.
learn about the bowl games. Good luck to all the championship games.
Yes.
It is one last thing I'll say. It is so odd to me how the championship games line up. Like, I understand there's conferences, but this weekend, Ohio State is playing Indiana in a conference championship. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense because they're in the conference championship. But when you think about it, it's like the number one, number two teams are playing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why don't they just make that the national championship then?
Yeah. So then
So will they have to play
is
each
that
other
gonna
again?
massively or is that gonna massively ruin the loser's chances?
Though both.
Because like, let's say you're 1 and
Mhm.
then lose, they're not gonna just rank you to 2. They're gonna rank you now to, like, 6 probably.
Yeah. I'm sure both teams will still make the playoffs
Yeah.
when it's a game like 1
That's
and
true.
2, but it does affect, like, where you sit in the playoffs, whether you get a bye week or not, I guess, or maybe this
Yeah.
is the bye week for some of them.
Oh, dear. No. No.
I shouldn't have even said anything, like, now I'm just confusing myself again. We'll come back with more info next week, you guys.
On that note, let us know what questions y'all have that we can answer, and we will talk to y'all next week.
Bye.